welcome to RFID Journal Virtually Live. We're glad you've taken the time to join us today. I'm Rich Handley, RFID Journal's managing editor, and I will be the host for the Label Converter track. This track is sponsored by Avery Dennison. Before we begin, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items and take a moment to explain how this session works. The audio for this event is broadcast over the internet. Make sure your computer or device's audio is available and unmuted, and that the volume is turned up to an acceptable level. You will be on mute for the duration of the call. You may be asking yourself, how do I ask questions if I'm muted? Well, we have that one covered. If you have a question, you can submit it to us at any time during the session and direct it to the panelists by typing it into the Q&A box on the toolbar at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Your questions will be queued up, and I will present as many of them as I can to the speakers at the end of the presentation. A recording of this session will be available after the chat. We will send you a link via email so you can review the content or share it with your colleagues for on-demand viewing. Our next session is called Unlocking New Market Opportunities for Label Converters. And our speakers are Patrick Eichstadt, Avery Dennison's Director of Industry Business EMEA, Intelligent Labels, and Jordi Baeta, Avery Dennison's Market Development Manager. Now it is my pleasure to begin this session.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our presentation on unlocking new market opportunities for label converters, presented by my dear colleague Jordi Baeta and myself, Patrick Eichstadt, on behalf of Avery Dennison SmartTrack, here today on RFID Journal Live, virtually today. So what we're going to talk to you about is how you actually can unlock the opportunities in the IoT world by using our RFID technology to enable yourselves and your customers for better business models and better customer engagement. We offer a wide range of products and solutions for you to enable your customers to do so, from a classical barcode through the RAIN UHF offering, NFC HF, up to passive Bluetooth products in our portfolio. Using RFID technology enables you to actually unlock new potential businesses with your customers, and also enabling them to build new business models around multiple industries and segments. What are the hottest ones that you should be looking at right now? Omni-channel businesses of all kinds and in all industries give you a lot of opportunity to actually implement solution based on RFID and enable IoT. New delivery models in, for example, parcel and express services, of course, in production to enhance safety, to ensure customer experience, for example, in the retail industry, automate processes, supply chain transparency, and obviously within the pandemic that we're moving right now, also touchless technology, so that there is less interaction with other people and the danger of potentially getting infected. Which industries are we looking at? We at Avery Dennison SmartTrack pretty much focus on pharmaceutical and healthcare industry. The key topics in those industries are pretty much around inventory management, automation, patient safety, and connected consumer, bringing together, for example, a probe of blood of a patient with the analytics database. Brand protection and authentication, making sure that the product that you're buying is a true product of the manufacturer that you're actually looking to buy the product from. And obviously helping those companies to enable more efficient labor and operations. Automotive industry has already started to use RFID, is one of the, let's say, earlier adopters of the technology. They use it today in parts tracking, traceability, and process automation, especially in manufacturing. They're looking at customer safety features embedded into the electronics and technology of their cars. They are also looking, especially in the spare parts management space, on authentication and anti-counterfeiting of original manufactured products. Again, brand protection. And again, if you think about automating process in manufacturing, about labor and operations efficiency. Food is a big one. It's about food safety, you know, the origin of the product. Can you trace it down? Who has produced the meat? Where does it come from? Has it been ecological farming? Enable you to also set, for example, customer experience settings, games, for example, buying a certain product, looking at maybe enhancing your capabilities in your home by using a certain detergent, how to use the detergent, etc. So lots of opportunities that you can do, or quiz games to win a prize, for example, if you bought a pack of certain cereals. Traceability in your supply chain. Labor efficiency, again, for example, automated cycle counts in a store, in the warehouse of a store, in a distribution center. Sustainability, to make sure that your product is being recycled the right way, not the product, but maybe the package of the product itself. And obviously also taking care of legislative rules and regulations in certain countries. For example, last sales date. Then all kinds of fulfillment trends that are valid across multiple industries and segments, like already mentioned, all kinds of omnichannel businesses, inventory management in the warehouses from the pallet into the last or smallest item, distribution efficiency, route planning, pick and pack, outbound, and of course the entire returns management. That said, I would like to hand over to my colleague Jordi and take you into more detailed views on what those opportunities actually in detail look like.
Thanks, Patrick. Well, in fact, what we saw on all the trends that Patrick presented, there's a common thing about this need of increasing the transparency, traceability across the whole supply chain, from authenticity of the products, till improving the inventory positions, improving also all the logistics process. So now we are going to see a bit more in detail, to address those needs. We have a broad portfolio of products, from RAIN RFID inlays to HF and FC RFID, and a bunch of different sensor-enabled tags. And then we'll see, in detail some of the use cases that benefit of this technology. The first case is quite interesting. Is around quality control on the assembly lines of the car industry. This is related to the leakage detection. So the solution is based on passive UHF tags with sensor moisture sensing enablement that are positioned in a strategic parts of the positions of the cars, and then with the fixed readers they could monitor automatically the presence of water in these critical points when they're submitted to these high pressure showers. That gives you the manufacturer 100% inline quality. It's an automatic process, no manual process. So all the cars could be automatically tested. Also, there is a considerable reduction in cost because you avoid all the complaints for the customers and rework on the cars. And of course, is that creates better customer experience because the customer is not finding any defects on the car. And at the end, this is possible, to this turnkey solution because the collaborations between the system integrator, we as an inlay supplier that are jointly working to develop this solution. Another case that I want to bring to you is a recent case, a cooperation with a partner called Suku. They develop a solution together with us to authenticate COVID test kits. You're probably aware of the presence of non-conformal and non-homologated kits in the market, and there's a concern about the safety of using these kits. So this solution is based on NFC tags with enabled blockchain platform that we supply together with the application that Suku developed, and then the customer could easily verify the authenticity of the cars just tapping on top of the NFC tag, and they get the confirmation of the authenticity of the kit. On top of that, the application allows you to share your test results with the healthcare administration, which is another added value when you fight against the pandemic. So next, please. So another case is related to food. This Reynolds is a food supplier in UK. They used to use about 60,000 disposable cardboard cartons each week to deliver the food to the 4,000 different sites they address. And they receive requests from their customers to replace the disposable cardboard cartons with returnable trays. The main reason was first an environmental reason, and secondly, trying to reduce cost of managing and discarding these used cartons. What they found the first year of implementation is they got about 190,000 pounds of worth in crates that was lost, and they were not recovered. And also was very difficult to address this issue and prove who owned the crate for the last time. So what they decided is to implement RFID and use a plate number on each crate with an RFID tag in order to improve the visibility and manage the inverse logistics of these crates. In general, the pilot, this project brought 46,000 pounds of annual levels cost savings, because they don't have to assemble any more cardboard boxes, and also 40% of reduction in the storage space, because those were pileable crates, so it was not stacked and taking room of the warehouse. And the good thing is that with implementation of RFID, they were able to pay back the whole full year deployment cost in the first 6 months of the deployment. That was what was a very positive result. And in fact, as a result of this RFID implementation, they reduced down to 92 the return rates, or let's say the lost crates in the circle. And also, the solution proved to be very accurate and reliable. So it allowed to reduce the disputes between the different parties on the ownership of the trays, because everybody agrees that what the system says was in most of the cases the reality of the situation. Next. Okay, related to this case is a general trend in this circular economy discussion to replace disposable transport assets with reusable ones. In most of the cases, the reusable ones are more expensive, so it's a need to have a good visibility and traceability where those assets are. And in that case, there is a very important initiative in the automotive industry. Main car manufacturers are putting in place programs to mandate their tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers to use RFID-enabled returnable transport assets with the two main objectives. The first is, by knowing the content of any transport asset, they could control the flow of incoming goods in the assembly lines from the suppliers, making sure that everything arrives on time with the right products in order to avoid stopping the assembly lines. And on the other side, they were able to control all the inverse logistics of the assets back to the suppliers in order to reduce any lost assets. Next. So what is Avery Dennison SmartTrack bringing into this industry? What we try to do is promote any kind of relationship within this ecosystem, trying to connect level converters with system integrators, reader manufacturers, make sure that we all together are able to deliver turnkey solutions that meet the customer expectations. So I hand over into Patrick, please.
Thank you very much, Jordi. So pretty much what we are painting as a picture here is that we, Avery Dennison SmartTrack, are here for you to push us to generate the pull from the market to you and, of course, us as your partner. Who are we for those who might not have heard the name Avery Dennison SmartTrack within the RFID industry yet, which would definitely surprise me a little bit. We are probably, or not probably, we are the single largest RFID inlay and tag manufacturer from a global perspective, with a total capacity of annually 12 billion plus X in inlays and tags. We have an extensive industry experience, which is documented by 1,750 and more patents and applications worldwide. We have a global R&D research located in Asia, in Europe, in 2 facilities, and in the US, with a huge team working day and night in developing new and innovative products for you. We're currently the only company on the globe who have an ARC certification for quality as a company, not for a single product. That goes without saying that, of course, most of our products for specific applications and industries are being ARC certified. We're working to reduce our carbon footprint, obviously, and looking for sustainable innovation. We are committed to our broad customer and channel base, you, our ecosystem, our customers, our partners. And we currently run 7 manufacturing sites across the globe, 3 of which actually are in Asia, 2 of which are here in Europe, 1 in northern, well, actually 2 in Northern America, 1 in the United States, and 1 in Mexico. And we're planning to open another one over the next couple of months or next year in South America. What do we offer to you? We have a global sales team. You will find an Avery Dennison salesperson on the ground on every continent of this planet. We have highly skilled RFID and IoT experts in every continent. We have, as I already mentioned, strong R&D capabilities and a network with partners who deliver additional innovation, like the IC manufacturers as an example. We are sharing those innovations and best practices around the world, also with you, our customers and partners. And as I already mentioned, we are broadly present in the Americas, here in Europe, and of course in Asia Pacific. Our global manufacturing capabilities with large-scale, high-volume RFID inlay manufacturing, state-of-the-art machinery in 7 factories currently, with a capacity of 12 billion and more pieces per annum. Brazil planned for next year, as I already mentioned. And of course, an end-to-end quality management from a product design level up to the performance in our supply chain. And of course, we're always willing to make sure that we are a reliable partner on delivering your product on time to your premises or your customers' premises. That said, to enable you and help you, and you remember I talked about you pushing us, for us to help you to create pull, one of the offerings that we have for you are our ILABs. And those ILABs you will find in Asia Pacific, in China, you will find one in the US, one here in Europe, in the Netherlands, another one in India, and one in Brazil. These ILABs basically are, how do you say, showcases where you can see all kinds of IoT-based, RFID-based applications and solutions for different and diverse industries, which helps you to actually get a grip on the type of application that you could be building for your customers, or your end customer itself to get more accustomed to what is possible using RFID technology. And it's really fun to play around with those applications, look at how they work and the possibilities given. So I invite you to invite your customers to visit us as soon as the pandemic allows us to travel and obviously meet in person, to come to our ILABs and unlock the potential of RFID for your journey into IoT. That said, thank you very much for joining us today and to listening to our presentation. And now I invite you to actually give us your questions, and hopefully Jordi and myself will be able to answer all of those. If those cannot be answered, we will certainly also be available afterwards when the presentation has been shared, and receiving your questions in emails as well. Thank you very much for joining.
Please submit your questions via the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom screen. We already have a few questions. First is, what in your opinion is limiting the mass adoption of NFC as a customer engagement technology?
Patrick, if you want to take this one. Well, in the past, one of the critical points was that Apple was not that open to share, the NFC readers in the smartphones, so it was a limiting factor for the universality of customer access to this interaction. But that was progressively being released by Apple, and let's say we focus on the FMCG products. There is still a bunch of products that the cost is a limiting factor for mass adoption. That's one of the reasons of one of our strategic investment in the company called Pragmatic, which is developing Flex IC technologies, which we expect to be able to lower the cost for mass adoption of the low-end consumer goods products.
Okay, next question. How has COVID-19 impacted the RFID market?
Well, I'll take this one, Jordi, if you don't mind. Well, of course, at the beginning of the pandemic, we saw a physical impact that you could read in the newspapers, for example, the Chinese government closing down the industry in the country. So everyone that was producing their RFID equipment in China, as an example, could obviously not deliver for a couple of weeks. And that was one of the advantages of Avery Dennison, having a widespread capacity to produce and manufacture RFID around the planet in several continents. We were not that much affected by that. Another one which you see on the business side is basically that a lot of companies, for example, in the food grocery industry, are now looking into implement new technologies to actually have contactless interaction with their customers, like self-checkout, for example, or fully automated supermarkets, like one that was opened in Helsinki, Finland, late last year. So those are the type of effects that we see. And obviously there will be a much more of that coming with also government official looking at, for example, automating a lot of processes. As an example, in libraries. So we see numbers of requests for library tax actually soaring since this pandemic hit. Of course, it has downturns. You can imagine there have been no larger sporting events around the planet. We saw that the Olympics were moved into next year. And for those converters and system integrators actually heavily involved into sports timing and using RFID as a technology there, they have definitely been negatively hit strongly. Other than that, we can, at least from our perspective, say that the overall business in the RFID space is still on a growth path. It's for sure on a, let's say, not as steep curve as we expected for this year when we planned it last year. Of course, the pandemic has its hit, but still with a lot of opportunities opening also, or pushing the need to use the technology earlier than actually planned, we still see the adoption rate in RFID growing. So we see that in our numbers, and we see that in analyst numbers in the market.
Okay, I guess we have one final question from Ross, which is, how does the label stock material used as the carrier of RFID inlays differ from the label stock material for standard barcode labels?
Okay, maybe I take this one. So yeah, in essence, traditionally, the substrate that has been used for producing the inlays have been polyester because some limitations on the edge technology. We were able to develop our smart face concept, which allows us to build these antennas on different substrates. Could be paper, could be polyester, even some textile products, giving more flexibility. We are closer to the availability in the labels market. But at the end, for the customization of the final intelligent labels, typically you can also add any other substrate when converting those inlays in intelligent labels, and it's the job of the label converter, to get the right materials according to the specs of this finished product.
Okay, it looks like that was the last one. So that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you both for sharing your insights. I also want to thank everyone who participated in this session. As a reminder, we will send you an email with a link to the recording of this webinar. We hope you will join us for the rest of RFID Journal Virtually Live. The next session in this track, Intelligent Labels, Enabling Transparency, Visibility, and Sustainability Across the Entire Supply Chain, will take place at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time.